No technical. We're wrapping today up with my wonderful friend, Joe Lopez. Welcome back to the show, Joe.
Ted, what a great time to be back with you again. It's always exciting to chat with you because you're just full of a guy with positive aroma. You know what I'm saying? So
I like that. I like aroma. I'll take aroma.
Yeah, because anytime anybody's having a bad day, just get with Ted. I mean, Ted. Nobody knows the bad side of Ted. Nobody knows if he's having a bad day. So, if you're having a bad day,
I know. I'm waiting. I'm hoping that doesn't ever transpire.
No, that's not gonna happen because there's a positive attitudes is a chemical that creates a positive result. So
I like that.
Saying,
okay,
I'll find it. I got a saying around here. I think it's on my phone. So
I love your background. I'm happy to have you back. It's always fun and engaging and entertaining and informative when you come on. We have obviously all been shut down, or at least whatever that means in our world because of COVID-19.
I think we lost count.
I just can't keep track anymore. I think I went out though. I ventured out, but this isn't about me. This is about you, Mr. Lopez. So introduce yourself. Tell them a little bit about you for those that might not know you, and then we can take a deep dive into the topic and the campaigns and the community and all of that stuff.
Great. Okay. Well, my name is Joe Lopez. I'm just a simple guy from born and raised in the Bronx to Cuban immigrants. Been living here in Orlando since 2005 with my beautiful wife and 2 children that she's born with me with, and I'm here with you today, Ted, and hopefully we can talk about some good things and
all right,
what's going on.
I want to make you front and center. So when you're speaking, don't freak out on me like somebody did last week. I know you're used to it, but she's like, "Where did you go?" I go, "I'm still here," but I want people to see you when you're talking. All right, so let's talk about. You mentioned you grew up in the Bronx. You've served our country. You served our community. Talk about your service and servant leadership for us.
Okay, well, growing up in the Bronx, I'll talk about that. My parents are Cuban immigrants. They came to this country in 1961. Actually, I was made in Cuba, manufactured in Cuba, and I was assembled in the Bronx. So, yeah. So what does that mean for those?
That's good.
Painting a picture. My mother came to this country 7 months pregnant, so I was almost born in Cuba. So she came to this country July 1st of 1961 when Castro was closing the doors and he told everybody to leave. So my mom took the last seat out of Cuba because my father was already an American citizen. He's Cuban, but he went to school growing up in New York and went to Catholic military school. And my mother, came over and then was born and raised in the Bronx, St. Francis Hospital. They burned the hospital down after I was born. I wonder why. Maybe they didn't want another Joe Lopez.
Yeah. They didn't want another Joe Lopez?
Nah. Yeah. So anyway, St. Francis Hospital was the name of the hospital. My parents separated when I was 7 years old, so my mother was forced to work almost 3 jobs to support me and my sister. So she can go and work because we lived in a in a neighborhood infested with drugs, believe it or not. So growing up to be my mom knew that it was important for me to stay busy because she didn't want me to be raised in the street, which I kind of was, but I was an altar boy, Boy Scout, Cub Scout, Naval Cadet. I was in karate. I did all kinds of good stuff, and then eventually we went. Yeah, not enough. My mom says, "Yeah, all that money I had to spend for your uniforms and everything." She reminds me of. But my mom today she's 80 years old and she is alive as she was 20 years old. Oh yeah, she's a fighter. So I moved to Miami in 2000. No, I moved to Miami in 1977. I moved to Las Vegas for 1 year. My mom got me and my sister out of the Bronx, out of the rough neighborhood, and we went to Las Vegas for 1 year, and then which was fun. It was exciting. And Circus is where I used to hang out a lot. So we didn't live too far from the Strip, of course.
Love
and
it.
I went to junior high school out there. Then I went, by the way, I went to 3 junior high schools and 2 high schools.
Wow.
So if you want to learn how to make friends, just ask
Fast.
me. Yeah, you ain't kidding. Because, when you're the new kid in the school, everybody looks at you really weird, and kind of treats you as an outsider. So you had to make friends fast if you wanted to survive. Went to Miami, 77, graduated from high school there. And I went to high school with Gwen Graham. You know who Gwen Graham is?
I don't, but you're going to tell me.
Gwen Graham ran for governor.
Ah.
Yeah, Bob Graham's daughter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I went to I went to Hialeah Miami Lake School. I went to school with Don Shula's daughters. Went to high school with Gwen Graham. She didn't graduate from there because her father became governor, and he went up to Tallahassee. And then I went to the Marines in 1979, and I served at the American Embassy in Nicaragua, and in the American Embassy in Santo Domingo, Dominican Republic. 2 great countries. So,
why the Marines? I don't think I've ever asked you that. Why the Marines?
No, you didn't. I always knew as a young boy, I wanted to go into the military. I watched Vietnam on TV. You used to see it on the news a lot, and I was a junior naval cadet. So I knew I was going to go into the military, but I was first going to go into the Navy, and but then I changed to the Marines because I wanted to go and be the most challenging service, which was the Marines, and their uniforms are awesome. Look how beautiful their uniform is. So when they ask you in boot camp, they ask you to write it down. Because why the Marine Corps? And I said I wanted to be the toughest branch, and I love the uniforms. So I mean, I don't think the pants I never thought the pants and the jacket ever matched, but But it looks nice.
I do love that behind you, though. It looks good.
Thank you. That was made by an active duty Marine who saw my other shadow box that I have that has my original uniform. So doing many of these shows, talk shows, an active duty Marine, I hope he's watching when he sees it. His name is Mark. He's an active duty Marine. He used to be enlisted. Now he's an officer. He's stationed out in Arizona. And he just sent me an email. He wanted to do one for me. And I thought it was awesome. At first I didn't know who it was. I thought it was, skittish. And he goes, no, I want to do a really nice thing for you. And he does this for a lot of people in the service. And he does it at the kindness of his heart. Yeah, charity. And he's still active, and he's been to combat and all that kind of stuff. And he's been in 20 years in the Marine Corps now.
He did a phenomenal job.
He did, didn't he? Yeah.
Yeah, it looks good. All right, so then you left service and you became a police officer.
Yeah, 2 years later, I actually applied to a lot of police departments when I came out in 1983. I was riding around in the car with my brother-in-law, who was my best friend. He ended up marrying my sister, and he was a Miami police officer. So I would ride around with him, and City of Miami wasn't hiring, but I applied with other police departments. And we went by one day the highway patrol station, and I applied. And 2 years later, I got the call. Got the call to become a state trooper. And then I'm Miami.
How long did you serve?
32 years. I retired 3 years ago, and I retired of a rank of chief, going to the rank one of only 2 Hispanics making above the rank of major. When I was there was only 2 Hispanics above that, so it was a challenge.
So tell me about I want to take a dive about encouraging the voice of the community, but I have to ask public service. People want to know, and before we went live, I had people messaging me when I started promoting, hey, ask him about why he wants to run. Why are you campaigning? So tell them a little bit about the campaign, but I think people want to know why. Like, what is it about public service that's important to you or attractive to you, or the force behind it?
I didn't realize it at all, until when people started asking you questions and political when I ran for office. So for 32 years as a state trooper, as a Marine, as a Boy Scout, as a Cub Scout, as a junior naval cadet, as an altar boy starting at 9 years old, you don't think about those things. It just you gravitate to serving the community. I was that guy. I was a crossing guard, believe it or not. I was that guy, that would take an old lady. And when I lived in the Bronx, and they can fact check this, I was a part of. I went to a Catholic school after I went to a public school, and the Catholic school was on the biggest street, okay, you can find in this country, the Grand Concourse. If anybody knows about it, well, I lived on the Grand Concourse, and the school was across the street, and that's the biggest street. I mean, it's got, I don't know, like 8 lanes, all right, in the Bronx, and we used to help the kids cross the street, the nuns and everybody that was going to school, going to church, because there was a church right there too. So it's a sense of duty, Ted. It really is. It's a sense of duty. It's a passion. You don't. It's a calling. There is no. You don't punch in and punch out. I remember, as a state trooper, after hours, I would still be policing and driving around, and people used to tell me, "Hey, you're off. You're off. Let it go. Let it go." Yeah. So I served my country. I served my state. I serve my small communities. I want to continue serving now, giving back into the community. That's where I belong. That's where I fit. I think it's time to give back so much that I have done. I think I could do so much to affect change, to make change. And not only that, but to inspire others to do the same thing by mentoring. When people listen to my story, where I come from, I wasn't spoon-fed. I didn't have privileges that some other people were, gifted. I come and I also want people to understand that, you could be anything you want. Coming from, I was almost born in Cuba, but I'm so glad, I am so proud that I was born in this country to be an American citizen, which my father wanted me to. My father was here, and he says, I want my son to be born in the United States. So when you come from a country like Cuba and you cannot be anybody you want, you cannot do the things that you want to do until you get here, I think all those things is a blessing. And I want other people that I can mentor, inspire to do the same thing and just keep moving forward and pay it forward. I'm a big proponent of that, of paying it forward. I don't ask anybody, hey, you owe me. We may joke around, but I always, when people say, how can I repay you? Don't repay me. Do it to the next person and pay it forward.
That's so powerful. I think we begun to talk about the topics of being a voice, encouraging the voice in the community. You do this on a lot of levels. So you're involved in human trafficking at a lot of organizations that have to do with human trafficking, bullying. Talk about some of those voices that you're out there. You're still, because guys, remember, COVID shuts the world down, but problems don't stop. So you're
absolutely right.
You still have to be a voice. You still have to be out in the community. You still have to do the good things that you were set up to do. You've just had to do them maybe a little differently. But let's talk about your voices. Tell them a little bit about the things that you're doing in the community.
So I'm one of the board members for Paving the Way. Who was founded by Jan Edwards, that a lot of people know here in Orange County. She does a wonderful job of bringing other people together from different sources, from other stakeholders. And what Paving the Way does is in the education process, educating people in schools, students, mainly students and everything, to disrupt the cycle of human trafficking, because there are so many levels of what's going to take to disrupt it. And that's one angle. Then you have Tomas Lares, that most people know from the United Abolitionists. They used to be FA Florida abolitionists, and they help when the women are rescued. He helps find places for them, because here in Orange County, and I just wanted to get my little my testy tart here. In Florida, in 2019, there are 767 cases. Now, this is according to the National Hotline of Human Trafficking. 767 cases that were reports to the hotline in the state of Florida. And out of those 767, 285 are in Orange County.
Wow.
Now, that created 1,771 victims. This is for 2019. And we know that Orange County is a problem because, well, first of all, Florida is number 3 in the nation, okay? Orlando, Orange County is number 2 in the state of Florida, Miami being number 1. So there's a problem here. So, one of the things that I want to do is, I don't know how we can continue being the number 1 tourist destination in the United States, that we can be listed as a problem. So one of the things what I want to do is, when I do become sheriff, is I want to eradicate human trafficking here in Orange County, to where we're no longer listed on there. So I know that's going to be a tough case, but if you listen to the stories, I just did a documentary on that, where we interviewed a couple of people who helped the human traffickers, help them get food, help them get clothing. They interviewed a couple of women who worked on the streets, and Jan and Thomas was also interviewed to talking about. And if you listen to the cases, I mean, being in law enforcement as long as I have, to hear some of these stories. I have a 21-year-old daughter, and those images go through my mind when I think about that. God. So think about all the women that we hear about missing, and unfortunately, when we see that happening, they're good-looking and pretty women, and they disappear. And it's thin air. They're gone, nowhere to be found.
Yep.
Okay, nothing. Okay, no trace of them. So you got to wonder, okay, were they a victim of human trafficking? Because they don't keep them here. That they're abducted from here or taken or whatever. They don't keep them here. They ship them. They ship them across the United States to California, to otherwhere. They sell them. It's modern day slavery. They'll sell a pimp, a handler, will sell a woman, okay, like it's a commodity, to another pimp for up to $50,000. Okay, and that's how they make their money off of that, because they can make up to $250,000 a year on one woman. So you know what and this is the sad part, the life expectancy of a woman, who's abducted, the minute they're abducted into human trafficking, their life expectancy is 7 years.
Wow.
7 years. Okay.
Wow.
Yeah. And one of the women told me that about 2 years ago, a 18-year-old girl who wanted to get out of human trafficking was killed on OBT. All right. Wow. And to this day, they haven't found her murderer, or they couldn't pin it on him or whatever. So it's, yes, they could be runaways. They're taken advantage of. Could be girls who are abducted, and they can inject it with heroin, make them addicted to the heroin. So what happens now? Now they're beholden to the pimp and the handler, because now they need their fix. Yep. I tell people, go watch the movie, Take It 1, 2, or 3. Yes, it's a little dramatic because it's a movie. It's going to, but the concept is there. It exists. Yep. So that's one of the things, and I used to investigate. Well, I personally didn't investigate. I had a component underneath me that used to investigate human trafficking. And that's where I started learning about it. But for
only recently, like, I feel like it's been around a while, but I'd say in the last 5+ years, maybe, I'm involved with a lifeboat project. And of course, I know Jan and love Jan and Tomas. It just has become so forefront, which is excellent. We needed it to become forefront because people didn't believe it was actually happening. And I just remember sitting in some of those discussions, and they're like, that just happens in the movies, Ted. And it just was frightening.
Did you see the documentary yet? Have you seen the documentary that I did?
I have not.
Okay, when you see it, I guarantee you, okay, you're going to say, wow. Okay, because when I was interviewing these girls, they said something. I don't want to be a spoiler. They mentioned something, and you can see my face. I was like, okay, I wasn't prepared for that response, but oh yeah, it threw me off.
All right, so talk about talk about campaign life a little bit. Tell them what you're running for, and let's deep dive. Let's talk about sheriff.
So, of course, COVID-19 has put a little damper on things because when you talk about what's life in campaign, well, one of the things about campaigning is, they say there's two things that you got to do when you become a candidate for campaigning. You got to get the votes and you got to get money. Well, I hate asking people for any money, okay? But I love talking to people, okay? That ain't no big deal to me. I remember I've been to 2 high schools and 3 junior high schools, so that's no big deal. On knocking on doors. You never know what you're going to get when you knock on somebody's door, whether, they got something nasty to say or it's so nice. But I got to admit, most of these door knocking has been very positive. So that's been very uplifting. So, it's a lot of talking to people. Of course, we can't shake hands too much, so we got to do, the bump and where, who knows how long that's going to go for. That's a new, that's old now. It's going to be this now. So
yeah, it's definitely going to be that.
yeah. So being out there is fun. It's sometimes it could be long hours if depending how active you want to be, and I'm active. I'm full of. I got to keep it clean. I'm full of vinegar, I should say.
You could have said it. I'll say it for you. Piss and vinegar.
There you go. And there's nothing holding me back. I'm full of energy. So I like talking to people, going to the events. Right now, there ain't too many of that stuff going on. But normally when there is, you got the hobnobs, you got the events going on. You're invited to galas, you're talking to people. So it's constant talking and meeting people. And the most important for me is trying to connect with the community. Listening to the community and find out what they want. Because you know what? Too often, the candidates go out there and they tell them what they want to do. And and the communities like say, well, you haven't even listened to us. You're not active listening. How do you know what we want? So that's what I have done, a grassroots, because my campaign is a grassroots campaign. Of course, it's a grassroots versus the establishment, but out there talking to people into the community, hanging out with them for 2.5 years. Look, recently, I got somebody called me to tell me that their daughter went missing. All right. And that's the relationships that I have developed in the community, that her daughter went missing. And I'm not going to mention the police department. They contacted the police department and they didn't want to do anything because they meet a certain criteria. So when they contacted me, what did I do? As a matter of fact, Jan knows about it because she's another community servant leader, I should say.
She is.
And she jumped in it too. So, I have over 20,000+ followers. So we put it out there and within 24 hours, we found her.
Wow.
Okay. Yeah. If that's any indication, Dexter Rents, who was recently killed, who's a up-and-coming star who got a scholarship to University of Louisville to play football, and he was at the wrong place at the wrong time. And you had these gangsters and rappers, they did a drive-by, and he happened to be the one who was less fortunate, and he was killed. And so I had many family members reach out to me and ask if I could help, and we put the word out there, see if we could still find it. So the latest thing is, they're still working it, and hopefully they can bring those guys to justice, because since that incident, there has been retaliation going back and forth with that group. So, we got to be in the community. We got to mentor. We got to do a better job of mentoring these kids and getting the leaders, the right leaders. That's my dogs. Getting the leaders, the right leaders from the faith-based to come out and help us mentor some of these kids. One person who does a great job, and I'm going to give him a shout out to, is Pastor Daniel Ings. He mentors young black boys to men. I've gone out to them and speak to them a couple of times. Great person. I don't know if you know him, but he'd be a great person to have on the show. And
I'd love it.
Yeah, and that's what he does, and that's what we need more of.
I agree. All right. So tell us about the race. It's the campaign, I don't even know what I hate politics in general, so I don't even know what the actual lingo is. But I am a big believer in servant leadership, which is exactly what you have done and want to do. So Tell them about the Orange County Sheriff race and what people can do to get involved in your campaign.
Well, we are one of the things. I'm not a politician, and I don't even know how to speak like one. So basically, I want to call myself the people's sheriff. I have to do social media now, but when I'm sheriff, I want to be out there in the community. And what we need more of is to engage in the community. Now, the three things that I want to work on my campaign is to reduce the violent crime. I don't know if you heard, but we just had another homicide, the 41st homicide of the year in Orange County. So it's already breaking records. Last year, it was up to 56 homicides. The same time last year, this year's compared, there was only like 22 homicides, and we're at 41 homicides already this year. And we're not even halfway through the year. Halfway through the year is June 30th. So we got a violent crime situation going on. So we got to do something about that. And some of the ways we can do that is that we need a really good, robust, organic community policing. Why do I talk about that? Because we also know that a lot of the homicides go unsolved. Why do they go unsolved? Because we're hearing that the community doesn't want to communicate. And this is documented in the media. This is not Joe Lopez saying it. Even the detective, the sergeant detective for one of the police departments, even said that they're afraid, they don't trust the police. They don't want to talk to them. So we know that our law enforcement officers out there do a hell of a job, okay, out there trying to combat the crime. Unfortunately, there's a very small percentage out of the 700,000 police officers nationwide. Okay, 700,000 police officers nationwide, and a small percentage, a small number, have done some really stupid things that tarnishes everybody's badge. Doesn't matter what shape of the badge or the color of the uniform, whether it's in California, Montana, wherever it may be, it affects everybody. So what we have to do here in Orange County, we have to work stronger, we have to work smarter to get the community to cooperate with the community, and you know what? And let them see what we're doing. And instead of just going out there and criminalizing the whole community, listen, when I hear the same everywhere I go. Every community tells me the same thing. What are you going to do about the violent crime, and what are you going to do about community policing? Because I don't know who the police officer is who works in this community. I don't see them. Coming from New York, you know what we used to have? Friendly Joe, Officer Joe, walking the beat, who knew your mother and father, okay? And right. God forbid, because my mother and father says, don't you ever let the police bring you home, because you'll pay for that. So whenever they were walking the street, they knew your name, they knew your parents, and they would say, hey, behave. If not, because when you're kids, you do crazy things and so forth. No handcuffing, no going to jail, but you have that conversation, and they knew who you were. And we respected the law enforcement. They treated us like, like a human. So that's what we need to do, is a robust, and having that helps. That's one of the strategies, one of the many 12 strategies that I'm going to implement in reducing the violent crime. And the last thing that we need is, you can't do number one and number two without sufficient law enforcement officers. Orange County is a great county. How do we know? Because 1,500 people are moving to Orange County every week. I don't know if you knew that, Ted.
I did not know that.
Okay. Yes.
I didn't know.
It used to be 1,000. Now it's 1,500 people moving to Orange County. They're coming from New York. They're coming from Miami. They're coming from Venezuela. They're coming from Puerto Rico. They're coming from everywhere. So the population here is growing. So what we need, the calls for service, so they're holding. So we need more deputies. We also have deputies leaving Orange County Sheriff's Office for better pay to go to work at local police departments. So we're training. We're spending, Orange County taxpayers are spending $150,000 to train, equip, and pay a deputy. $150,000. You're a businessman, aren't you, Ted? I know you're in the business.
I am. That's what they tell me.
Okay, well, can you imagine that you hire somebody and you spend all that money to train them for your competitor to come and steal them away after you spend all that money?
I used to hate to lose people.
So just imagine if you put a lot of money into them, okay? Because in your business, I'm sure after 4 or 5 years, you're invested in them. They know what they're doing. You're not sitting over them. They're making you money. So just imagine a deputy leaving after 4 or 5 years. We spent all this money to go work for another police department to make more money. That's a disservice to the taxpayers because on a number of reasons. Because the money that we're spending, two, now that's a void. There's no deputies on the road. There's nobody fighting crimes. One neighborhood's one less deputy. Who knows? In Orange County, less than 160 deputies because of the vacancies. So those are my 3 platforms. That's what we got to do to make Orange County safer so people can raise their families here, so you can sell houses and mortgages, so people will move here. And the first question they're going to ask you is, how's the crime? And you're going to say, there is no crime because Sheriff Lopez is keeping us safe and the economy is doing good. And you can go to school and reassure them when they go to school, they'll return safe. And the wives, when they want to go out and play or they want to go shopping, they'll return safe. How do you like that?
I love it. Yeah, you've got even greater energy today. Awesome.
Oh, because you know why?
Why?
Because today's a special day.
It is.
It's a very special day. Today's my wife's birthday.
Oh, happy birthday! I haven't looked at my birthdays today.
Yeah, I wonder if she can. Today's your birthday too?
No, I hadn't looked at the birthdays. That's usually how I know people's birthdays.
Yeah, today's her birthday, and
wish her a happy birthday.
I will. Let me see if she's out there. She's very shy. She don't like the spotlight, stuff like that. So,
well, happy birthday to her. All right, tell people how they can get involved in what you're doing.
So, first of all, my wife made this for me. Oh, are you still there?
I'm still here.
Okay.
We can hear. I can hear you and see you.
You can hear me, see me? All right, let me fix this. All right. Good. So they can first follow me on Facebook.
Nice.
This way, okay? So they can see Facebook. All right, closer. Joe Lopez. All right, the other way. There you go.
Got it.
And then they got my second one is
Instagram.
my Instagram. All right, you see that?
See it. I love it.
Instagram. And then you got my Twitter account. All right, Joe Lopez for sure. I'm not done yet because there's more. There's more. There's my email.
Nice.
Okay. Joe
and
Lopez.
we got the website that's already streaming down at the bottom, joelopezsheriff.com.
And then my email account. So you can email me. I respond to everybody. If you call me, I respond to everybody. So you can do that. One other way of getting involved, if you want to reach out to us, we're always looking for donations. You donate what you can. But most important, this is the most important, is to vote. Okay? There's a primary, a Democratic primary election on August 18, 2020. You got to come out and vote, and you got to share with your family. Get everybody to vote. I fought for your rights to exercise that vote, not like where my parents came from Cuba. They didn't have a choice in the matter. So exercise your vote. Come out there and vote for the only person to make you safe, Joe Lopez, for Orange County Sheriff.
You have definitely gotten amazing at this whole thing since the last time. I barely had to say anything. It was awesome. All right, brother. I appreciate you. JoeLopezSheriff.com. I also tagged you in the post, and I think I tagged your page, but if I didn't, I'll go back in and do that. Happy birthday to your beautiful wife. Thanks for all you do, my friend. I appreciate it.
Ted, thank you. Thank you, and thank you. People who don't know you really don't know what type of person you are in helping the community. Always positive, never has anything negative to say about anybody or anything. And I'm telling you, if you're having a bad day, just get a hold of Ted. He'll make you feel good.
You're sweet. Thank you so much, my friend. All right, guys. JoeLopezSheriff.com. Reach out.
Take care. Thank you, Ted. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.